Have you ever experienced a moment when everything seemed empty, when all your effort produced nothing? A long night of work, a long season of waiting, and still nothing to show for it. What if the breakthrough you're waiting for is closer than you think, closer than the shoreline you cannot yet see? And what if the moment that changes everything begins with a simple act of obedience? After the resurrection of Jesus, the disciples were living through a confusing and uncertain time. They had witnessed the crucifixion. They had heard the news of the empty tomb. Some of them had already seen the risen Christ. Yet life still felt unsettled. The future was unclear. In John 21:14, we find the disciples returning to something familiar, something they knew well. Fishing. Peter spoke first. "I'm going out to fish," he said. Several of the other disciples joined him, Thomas, Nathanael, the sons of Zebedee, and two others. They climbed into a boat and went out onto the Sea of Galilee. These were experienced fishermen. Fishing wasn't new to them. It was their old life, their former profession before Jesus called them to follow him. But that night, something strange happened. They caught nothing. Hour after hour passed in darkness. Nets were thrown into the water again and again, but each time they pulled them back empty. The lake that had once provided for them now seemed silent and unresponsive. Imagine the frustration, the exhaustion, the quiet disappointment. As the night slowly gave way to dawn, the disciples were still on the water with empty nets. Then, as the morning light began to spread across the shore, someone stood there watching them. At first, the disciples did not recognize who it was. The man on the shore called out to them, "Friends, haven't you any fish?" Their answer was short and honest. "No." Then the man said something unexpected. "Throw your net on the right side of the boat and you will find some." To an experienced fisherman, this might sound strange. After fishing all night without success, why would moving the net a few feet to the other side suddenly make a difference? Yet the disciples obeyed. They cast the net again, and suddenly everything changed. The net became so full of fish that they were unable to haul it in. The weight of the catch pulled against the ropes. The water churned beneath the surface. The empty night was instantly replaced by overwhelming abundance. At that moment, one of the disciples understood. John turned to Peter and said, "It is the Lord." The miracle revealed the identity of the man on the shore. Only Jesus could transform emptiness into abundance with a single instruction. Peter's reaction was immediate. When he heard that it was the Lord, he put on his outer garment, jumped into the water, and swam toward Jesus. The other disciples followed in the boat, dragging the net full of fish behind them. When they reached the shore, they saw something surprising. Jesus had already prepared a charcoal fire. Fish were cooking on the fire, and there was bread beside it. Think about that for a moment. The disciples had just experienced a miraculous catch of fish, yet Jesus already had fish prepared for them. The miracle wasn't about feeding Jesus. It was about teaching the disciples something deeper. Jesus said to them, "Bring some of the fish you have just caught." Simon Peter climbed back into the boat and dragged the net ashore. The Gospel tells us something very specific about this catch. There were 153 large fish in the net. Yet even with so many fish, the net was not torn. Then Jesus invited them with simple words, "Come and have breakfast." None of the disciples dared ask who he was. They knew it was the Lord. Jesus took the bread and gave it to them. Then he did the same with the fish. This moment may seem quiet and simple compared to the dramatic events of the resurrection, but it carries powerful meaning. First, the miraculous catch shows that Jesus still provides for his followers. The disciples had worked all night in their own strength and caught nothing. But when they followed the voice of Jesus, their empty nets became full. This is a powerful picture of spiritual truth. Many times in life, people work hard, strive, and chase success in their own strength. Yet their efforts can still feel empty. But when we listen to Christ and follow his direction, he can turn emptiness into abundance. Second, this miracle reminds the disciples of something familiar. Years earlier, when Jesus first called Peter, James, and John, a similar miracle happened. In Luke chapter 5, they also caught a massive number of fish after Jesus told them to let down their nets. That first miracle marked the beginning of their journey with Jesus. Now, after the resurrection, another miraculous catch appears again. It is almost like Jesus is reminding them of their calling. Before, they were fishermen catching fish. Now they were called to become fishers of people. Their mission was about to begin. Third, this story reveals the heart of Jesus. After everything that had happened, the crucifixion, the resurrection, the fear, the confusion, Jesus did not greet the disciples with anger or distance. He welcomed them with breakfast, a simple meal beside the sea. It is a beautiful reminder that the risen Christ still cares about the daily needs of his followers. He is not distant or unreachable. He meets people in ordinary moments, on the shore, around a fire, during a meal. There is also a deeper symbolism in this moment. The unbroken net filled with many fish has often been seen as a symbol of the future mission of the church. The disciples would soon go out into the world, sharing the message of Jesus with people from many nations. Just as the net held a large number of fish without breaking, the message of the gospel would reach many people and gather them together. And yet Jesus remained the source of that mission. Without him, the disciples caught nothing. With him, abundance appeared. Another beautiful detail is the number 153 fish. While scholars have debated its deeper meaning, the gospel clearly emphasizes the large number and the fact that the net was not torn. The miracle was complete, abundant, and perfectly sustained. But perhaps the most touching part of the story is the invitation. Come and have breakfast. After the greatest event in history, the resurrection, Jesus sat with his disciples and shared a meal. This moment reminds us that faith is not only about dramatic miracles or powerful sermons, it is also about relationship, fellowship, being with Christ. The same Jesus who conquered death also cared enough to prepare breakfast for tired fishermen, and this message still speaks today. Many people feel like those disciples on the lake. They work hard, try their best, and still feel like their nets are empty. Their efforts seem fruitless. Their direction feels uncertain. But the story of the miraculous catch reminds us that Jesus sees us, even when we do not immediately recognize him. He stands on the shore of our lives, calling out to us. Sometimes his guidance may seem simple. Sometimes it may not make sense at first. Yet when we trust his voice and act in obedience, he can transform situations in ways we never expected. The miracle was not just about fish. It was about trust. It was about recognizing the presence of the risen Lord. It was about preparing the disciples for their future mission. Soon these same men would travel across the world sharing the message of Jesus. They would preach, teach, and bring the gospel to countless people. But before all of that began, Jesus met them in a quiet morning by the sea. A miracle, a fire, a meal, and a reminder that he was still with them. The story of the miraculous catch of fish is not just about the past. It is a reminder for every believer today that Christ is still present, still guiding, and still providing. Even when the night feels long, even when the nets feel empty, even when the future seems uncertain, Jesus is still standing on the shore, calling, guiding, and inviting us to trust him. Thank you for watching this video on Holy Path Insights. If this message encouraged you or helped you understand the Bible more deeply, please take a moment to like this video, follow the channel, and share it with someone who might need this message today. Your support helps us continue sharing powerful biblical stories and insights. And don't forget to explore more videos on our channel as we continue discovering the wisdom and truth found in Scripture.